First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim and you Aquat that believe in all sincerity. So as you can see in this article, the title states, in a novel experiment, brain-like human tissue implanted in rat brains influenced the rodent's behavior. It says studying human neurons inside rat brains could help researchers learn more about psychiatric disorders and how to treat them. It says the caption below this picture is a transplanted human organoid labeled with a fluorescent protein in a section of a rat brain. Let me read that again. A transplanted human organoid labeled with a fluorescent protein in a section of a rat brain. So the lighter green is actually human tissue in a rat brain, okay, which is the darker tissue. So let's read this in this article, and Lord willing, we can get some scriptures and get some edification, because this is very unusual. Okay, this goes against what Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has set up on the earth. Okay, this is not to be so. But as you see here in America and Babylon, everything goes. All right, but let's start here. It says 7 years ago, researchers at Stanford University started an ambitious experiment. They began growing miniature, simplified versions of the human brain from stem cells inside a lab. Then later injected that tissue into the brains of newborn rats. Okay. So let's highlight this. I want to read this again. They begin growing miniature, simplified versions of the human brain from stem cells inside a lab, then later injected that tissue into the brains of newborn rats. Okay, this is what researchers at Stanford University are doing. Okay, they have nothing better to do than to put human organoids in a rat brain. Okay, so let's continue to read. Their results, published Wednesday in the journal Nature, showed the brain-like human tissue integrated with the rat tissue then continued to mature. Those brain cells in turn seemed to influence the rat's behavior. The researchers injected the human tissue into the rat's somatosensory cortexes, regions that receive and process sensory information like touch or pain. After about 2 weeks of training, the rats began to lick a spout in search of water whenever the researchers stimulated the human neurons. They did this using blue light lasers. The researchers also used a puff of air to prod the rat's whiskers, then observed how the human neurons responded. We found that human neurons responded very quickly after we stimulated the whiskers. In fact, more than 70% of the human neurons are engaged in some form of activity within a second or so of that stimulation. So that tells us that they're probably connected. Sergiu Pasca, one of the study's authors and a professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Stanford, said on a call with reporters. Human neurons become part of the rat circuitry, Pasca said, adding the neurons were sparkling with electrical activity under a microscope. After the transplants, he said, the human neurons grew to 6 times the original size over about 8 months, making up roughly 1/3 of a single hemisphere in the rat brains. The rats didn't show signs of health issues like seizures or epilepsy, which the researchers had worried might arise. More than 70% were alive 1 year after the transplants. The study is the latest example of an attempt to transplant human cells into animals. Okay? And if you remember, they had tried to transplant pigs' hearts into human heart, okay, into a man, which they did, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that man had died. But this study is the latest example of an attempt to transplant human cells into animals. Okay? This is their latest attempt, okay? This line of scientific inquiry started decades ago, and some past tries have been successful. In 2006, developmental biologist Ali Brivanolo and team researchers of the Rockefeller University showed that they could grow human embryos in mouse tissue. Wow. Human embryos in mouse tissue? Oh, okay. Esau's just mad scientists. Then in 2013, a group of Belgian researchers transplanted human neurons into newborn mice, creating functional brain circuits. In 2018, researchers at Salk Institute of Biological Studies implanted human brain-like structures in mice, producing results similar to the Stanford study, but they used adult mice, whereas the Stanford researchers chose newborn rats in order to see how the human neurons integrated with the rodents' developing brain circuits. Brivanlow said the Stanford study is novel because of the way the researchers were able to grow complex 3D structures that represent the human cortex. The cortex is the most integral part of the brain where cognitive centers are located. Growing that type of tissue structure and then transplanting it has not been done very often. In fact, maybe not on the level of precision that this paper is describing, Brivanlow said. But novelty is not the end goal. Rather, scientists hope that the ability to perform human rat transplants will give them a better understanding of how genetic mutations influence brain circuits and affect how people think and behave. Okay, so they're thinking that, or they're hoping that the ability to perform human rat transplants will give them a better understanding of how genetic mutations influence brain circuits. Okay, and affect how people think and behave. Eventually, this type of rat model could be used to study psychiatric disorders, autism, or neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, and even to identify new treatments or test their effectiveness. In that sense, the new study could open the doors to tremendous medical and basic understanding of the way the brain works, and at the same time, what happens when things do not work very well. Brivanlow said. The Stanford researchers, in fact, used their transplant technique to investigate Timothy syndrome, a rare genetic disorder in humans that can result in life-threatening abnormal heartbeats and may also lead to autism. They transplanted tissues derived from 3 people with Timothy syndrome into baby rat brains. They found that those human cells didn't grow as large inside the rats and weren't as structurally complex as the other human cells. That signaled to the researchers that the genetic mutations responsible for Timothy syndrome in people had impeded the rat's brain development. Okay. And jumping down, it says, but Brivanlow acknowledged that this type of research comes with ethical questions. How much of a human cell can you put into a mouse embryo for that embryo to still be called a mouse? I think this is a very legitimate question that needs to be addressed, Brivanlow said. Still, he said the potential benefits could make the experiments worth pursuing. You see? So they want to pursue, although ethical questions could be posed. All right. How much human cells do you put in a mouse before that mouse ultimately is not a mouse anymore? But, but they don't care. They're going to do it anyway. If you have a way to save somebody's life or cure somebody's disease or provide at least some sort of a therapy to minimize the pain or extend the life of the person, you should be allowed to exercise that, Brivanlow said. And that's what people on the earth are thinking today. Forget what the Heavenly Father set up. Let's just, take matters into our own hands. Okay, pave our own way. Experiment with animals and human cells. Okay, and to the point where you can no longer call it an animal. It's leaning more to a human. Okay, with a little bit of animal cells in it. So this is what's going on. Okay, this is the perversion, the wickedness. Okay, that Esau is ultimately funding, because these are Esau schools. Okay, Stanford University. They're starting an ambitious experiment. To them, it's ambitious. Okay, let's get that word ambitious, just to show you. Their mind frame, having or showing a strong desire and determined to succeed.
Ambitious.
You see?
Ambitious.
It says of a plan or piece of work intent to satisfy high aspiration and therefore difficult to achieve. Yeah, see, in their mind, they're achieving, they're achieving their highest aspirations to study animals and human beings and supposedly save lives, but really, they're defying Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, who made things the way he did. You see? They also go to say it was a novel experiment. You see? And I looked up that word novel earlier. And it says here, new or unusual in an interesting way. Right. They know this stuff poses ethical questions. They know this is unusual, but yet it's interesting. Okay. Yet their ambitions, is towards something else. Towards defying Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and his order of things. Okay, these are just some of the words they use when they want to justify what they're doing on the earth these days. Okay, and Esau funds these things. Okay. The brain cells, because look at what it says here. Okay, they begin growing miniature, simplified versions of the human brain from stem cells. Okay, inside of a lab. Okay, so you got to understand the meticulous process that it goes into these perversions. Okay, that Esau does in these labs. Okay, they grew miniature, simplified versions of the human brain. Like who has time to do that? Make miniature brains. Okay, that they made from stem cells in a lab, and then later inject that into the brains of newborn rats. I mean, this is madness. This is 100% evil and wicked. Okay, and they're showing you a picture of what they did. And the human cells grows, and they think they stumbled upon something big. And you can read this article. I always bring articles out, and I encourage those who watch these videos to read these articles. Look up words, dissect them for yourself. Okay, and see the madness that is going on. Okay, they think that this is going to help with psychiatric disorders. At the bottom here, it said, that they acknowledge that this type of research comes with ethical questions. But the potential benefits could make the experiments worth pursuing. Okay, so, people don't care. They think they're saving lives. Look what this guy said. If you have a way to save somebody's life or cure somebody's disease or provide at least some sort of a therapy to minimize the pain or extend the life of the person, you should be allowed to exercise that, Brivin Lowe said. Okay, so they think that they're well in their right to do these type of things, but this stuff is madness. And of course, there's been other attempts. Okay, they've used mouses, and mice. Okay, this particular experiment was with a rat. So let's get some scriptures. And this video is gonna be entitled "All Flesh Is Not the Same." Let's get Genesis 1. and 24. And the Most High said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. Okay. Let's get this creeping thing.
Strong's H 7431, remes, remes.
Okay. Creeping things, moving things, creeping organism, creeping things, gliding things of sea animals, moving things of all animals. Okay. So the Most High, he made the living creature. He ordained the living creature. Okay. As a beast of the earth. Okay. Of its kind. Okay. Mouses are those creatures, are those creeping things, after his kind. Meaning.
Strong's H 4327, mean, mean. Second entry, moon, moon.
Matter of fact, let's look up that word kind. A group of people or things having similar characteristics. Now, it's very easy to tell that a mouse and a human being are not after the same kind. All right? Unless you're a mad scientist like Esau. They don't care. They justify it. They think they're saving lives. They know these things pose ethical questions, but hey, they go along. And they go ahead and do it anyway. They noted some other experiments, with mice and with mouses. Okay, those are the same kind of species, like rats. The Most High created creatures of their kind. All right. It says, and the Most High said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. So the Lord created rats, mice, mouse. All right. He created those creatures, and they're of the same kind, same sort. When you look at this word kind, it says class, sort, variety. Okay. Going down. Indicating something like or similar to something else led to the colloquial extension as adverb. Something like or similar. Okay. Category of things distinguished by some characteristic or quality. Okay. Now, rats, mice, and mouses are of the same kind. They are not human beings. Therefore, they have no business mixing the cells of two different kinds of creatures, okay? And we are creatures as well, okay? But we are made after the image of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, the Most High made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and the Most High said that it was good. You see? So, in the eyes of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the creatures that are made after their kind serve its purpose, and it's good. Okay? Now, we know that not all animals are for consumption, but they serve a purpose. And to the eyes of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, it is good for them to exist. And the Most High said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the Most High created man in his own image. In the image of the Most High created he him, male and female created he them. Okay? So us, men and women, okay, The Lord even created male and female too. Okay, there's a lot of different genders, but hey, that's madness as well. And we were created after the image of the Most High, meaning we have a head, eyes, ears, nose, we have feet and arms. Okay, this is the image that we were created in. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that rats and mice and mouses, in particular, in this video here, okay, this article that I'm bringing out, I should say, okay, is not the same kind as human beings. You see what I'm saying? This is abominable. Okay, this goes against the scriptures, which, it's not a surprise that Esau does these experiments because he is a mad scientist. This is Isaiah 47:10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Right? They trust, okay, in what they're doing. They justify it. Okay, they write papers on their findings. Okay, after they do these experiments, they got, so-called learned men and women in these universities doing these experiments, getting paid to do these experiments, thinking that they're going to save lives, and so they trust in their wickedness. Okay, this is what they do here in Babylon, okay, which is America. Thou hast said, none seeth me. They think nobody sees them. The Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not going to visit them for what they're doing. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Okay, let's get this word perverted, because these scientists, okay, these wise men, quote unquote, in America,
Strong's H 7725. Shuv.
Let's see. Let's just go back. It hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. Why? They think that they are the Most High. Okay. And there's nobody with them. They actually think this knowledge and this wisdom came, okay, because there's something special, when really Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has set up the basis of men. Okay, the Lord has created, scientists. The Lord has created these people, okay, for a cause, and these people, they turn and use their God-given talent, okay, and pervert it and do these type of things, and that's their lot, okay, because they are the wicked, okay, and there's many wicked, okay, here in Babylon and all over the world. Okay, the Lord is going to visit the earth for these type of experiments, for these type of things. Okay, mixing, or making a miniature brains, okay, out of stem cells in a lab, and injecting that tissue into rats' brains. Like, who does that? Who has time to do that? Like, who's conjuring these things up? They think they're the Most High and there's none else beside them. Okay, yeah, there's nobody helping them. They don't need no help. They're doing this on their own. Okay, they think that they're God. Okay, they worship wisdom, they worship knowledge, but yet it's perverted them. It's made them do things that are just defiant of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, the Lord didn't make humans and animals to be of the same kind. Animals are not made in the image of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, we are humans, so you cannot mix the two. This is 1 Corinthians 15:38. But the Most High giveth it a body as it hath pleased him. So it has pleased the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to give men a male body and females a female body. Okay, same thing with animals. There's male animals and then there's female animals of their respective kind, whether they be cattle, whether they be creeping things, whether they be things in the water, whatever the case. You see, and it pleased them to do it. Okay, they serve a function. Some are clean animals, some are unclean, but they serve in the ecosystem. all right, for a specific function. It says, and to every seed his own body. Okay, every organism has its own seed. Okay, let's see. Let's see this word seed. Let me see if I can. Right, NLT, the Most High gives it the new body he wants it to have. A different plant grows from each kind of seed. Right, so the seed of a mouse or a rat or mice is not the same, okay, as the seed that a man has. So they're two different species. They're two different kind. You cannot mix them. All right. It says all flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. You see? So all flesh is not the same. The tissue that is of a man, okay, the organisms that are of a man is not the same as of an animal. You see, what they're doing is contrary to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, Isaiah 29:16, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? Okay? They are turning things upside down. Esau, Edom. You see? It's backwards. You see? They are the clay. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is the potter. And shall the work, okay, the thing that is made, shall it say to the person who made it, okay, you didn't make me, okay, or you had no understanding, so therefore I'm going to make something different. I'm going to make a different species. I'm going to mix this tissue with this tissue, this flesh with this flesh. I'm going to mix here, move there, make different genders, do this, that, and the other, like what they're doing, okay, on the earth today. You see, 15, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? You know, they think that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai doesn't see that they're doing something wicked, and that ultimately they're defying the Lord. They think that they're doing something scientific, and really they're defying the one that made them. Okay, they're saying that you had no understanding, that you don't know, okay, you know, what you're doing. We can do it better. And they think that the Lord doesn't know their intention, okay, which Esau knows. Esau knows that these things piss off Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, okay, but yet they're contrary to the Lord. They're Satan. This is Isaiah 47:11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it ariseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, with which thou shalt not know. Okay, so the Lord's coming and is going to visit, you know, people who do these type of things. Okay, people who are involved in these type of things. It says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Okay. Let's get this word enchantments.
Strong's H2267. Hever. Gever.
Right. Magician, charmer, spells. Okay. And if you ask me, these are some witches. Okay. These are some spells, man. Some straight sorceries that they're doing. Like, when you look, it tells you right from the get-go. Okay, they grew miniature simplified versions of the human brain from stem cells. Okay, that shit is some witch, craft. Then later inject the tissue into the brains of newborn rats. Man. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it ariseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. That's what's going to come upon the inhabitants of Babylon. Okay? For all these enchantments, this witchcraft, these sorceries, these wickedness, this mixing of animals with humans, this is abominable. Okay, so just wanted to bring this out, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kodash, the honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to all Yakim and Yuakwa that believe in all sincerity. Shalom.